Consciousness, the final frontier. These are the voyages into the universe between your ears. Our mission, to explore collective wisdom, seek out amazing secrets, and spread the message of personal potential.
My negative, like when I become the not so nice Jacqui, I'm like 96% Miss Happy, Miss Sweet Jacqui. Now, not back then. Yeah. But the small percentage of me that is a complete horror still comes out, and I'm always triggered by the same exact emotion. The story might be different, but the emotion that I feel is always the exact same emotion, and that is disrespect. So when somebody does something that makes me feel disrespected, that's when I have my knee-jerk reaction. Right. And in the past, I would blow up, I would throw things, I would yell, I would scream. But now, I'm in a place that I have a lot more awareness. And so when I recognize I'm being triggered, I silently thank the person that triggered me, because that person just showed me that there's a part of me that is not healed yet. And that's a part of me that I can learn to love even more, so that when someone does something, I don't take it as a disrespect against me. And I take it as this is what they're doing because that's the best that they can do in that moment.
Well, so there's a bunch of things in there. You get to choose whether to take that as disrespect towards you, whether it is or it isn't.
But it never is. It never is.
Then you're lucky, because there are people who do, who just want to be mean to people. But the point just being that we can decide to not let it affect us.
Right. I mean, like the person that really want to be mean to other people, are they really emotionally healthy?
Right.
Right. And so when you go back and you ask those kind of questions, then they're really not disrespecting you. They are doing their best with the tools that they have, with their past experiences, with their personalities. They're not doing it because of you, because they're reacting the same way to the next person and the next person and the next person.
Right. Yeah. What was it that I was going to ask you? What was the other thing?
I don't know. You said there were a lot of things.
There were, and that's I'm getting old and feeble-minded, and one is my limit apparently. But you were talking about that state of being able to be the observer as things are happening, so that you can decide how you react versus reacting and then coming back later and going, oh, well, I should have done it different. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Thank you.
Yes. glad I could help,
I brought you on to make me look good.
There you go. And with practice, it definitely can happen. Am I 100% on all the time? Absolutely not. I make mistakes. I'm human, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But I recognize it a lot quicker, and I redecide a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're working on. How one of the big lessons is the cliches about, it's not the destination, it's the journey that's important. Stop and smell the roses, and all of those sorts of things that we hear and we hear and we hear, and we're just like, yeah, I know, I get it, But the ironic thing is that that is the truth with a capital T, right? Is that the path that you walk from here to wherever you're headed, it's the things that go on, the lessons that you're able to learn, it's the people that you meet, it's all of that stuff that goes on between here and there that has value. Getting there, if you could just snap your fingers and be there, you wouldn't have learned anything. You would be the same person with some new toys or whatever. And if you're unhappy, or if you're dissatisfied with life, if you're depressed, if you're whatever, it's going to just follow you. It's not because you don't have those things. It's because you have things to learn.
Right.
Right. So it's got to be, I was going to ask you something else, but it's got to be, it's got to be fun. It's got to be fulfilling to see people get that stuff as you're working with them.
I love
You
it.
know?
That's, yeah. So one of the things that my husband notices about me right away, when I have a client, I'm just lit up. Like he comes home and I'm just like full of positive energy and I'm smiling even wider than normal. And he's like, good session, huh? I'm like, yeah. Because when that happens, when you see that light bulb go off, for somebody, and that in that moment, everything just changed for them.
Mm.
It is the most fulfilling thing ever.
You're changing the world.
One person at a time, and the ripple effect, right?
World. I used to hear that people talking about changing the world. And what's your big purpose? And everything sounds like you have to be the next, Steve Jobs or something.
No, you don't.
You don't.
No.
In fact,
You
it's
get
so
to be
easy.
you.
Yeah. I had an opportunity a few years back to do a couple of presentations at a school for at-risk kids in Riverside. And I don't remember what I went up there to talk to them about, but it's like a 100-mile drive. And I know I was going over things in my head and it changed as I was headed up there. But during the process, we got onto the idea of vibration and thoughts creating your future and that kind of thing, and Think and Grow Rich, and the ideas that came out of that. And, this is on every top executive, top business leaders, 10 must-read books.
Right.
There's nothing about business in it. Why would it be? Why do they all say you need to read this? And so as we're talking about this, I saw certain kids that were just all of a sudden, wow, the eyes are getting big. They're starting to smile, and you can see the gears going.
Yes.
And I had a few of them and a couple of parents that stopped me afterwards, wanted to ask questions. And I left going, I want to do that. I want to do more of that, because that you just planted a little seed here. One little drop of water in that, start a little bit of a ripple, and who knows where those kids are,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's such a cool feeling.
It is. And I love that I get to do that for work, right? It doesn't even feel like work. I mean, seriously, it's playtime for me.
Play with other people's emotions.
No, I help them. I help them to understand that. Okay, so here's the thing about emotion. A lot of us, we get so afraid of negative emotions, bad emotions, right? And I used to be one of those people before I learned this whole thing about mindset and what you focus on, you create. I didn't understand it back then, but once I understand it, the feelings aren't scary, because what I've learned along the way is that your feeling, you were talking about your feelings are your emotional compass, right?
Right.
So rather than looking at it as bad or negative or scary or whatever, what if you just said, what, when I feel a certain way, what I used to label bad, it is just me telling myself I'm off course.
Right.
I'm not being true to who I am. I'm not being my best self. And if you recognize that, that statement, there's not a whole lot of judgment. It's just, I'm off course. Let me get back on course. Right. And it becomes so much easier to just recognize when you have certain feelings, it's just you telling yourself, hey, you got to take better care of yourself. You got to be true to who you are. That's it.
You touched on a word that's big for me, and it's this judgment idea, because there's no room for guilt and blame and self-criticism and any of that stuff in personal growth. Right? If you want to become a better person, if you want to feel better about who you are and where you are and what you contribute to the world and any of those things, you have to stop beating yourself up today.
Yes.
Because it doesn't serve you.
Right.
Right. And if you're in pain in whatever form that takes, it didn't just start this morning. Right. You've been living in pain for X number of days, weeks, hours, years. You've already paid the price. Right. The punishment you've paid, you've done your restitution to society. You've paid for the crime, whatever that may be in your head. Today you're free. start focusing on where you want to be, what you want to be, who you want to be, instead of what happened before.
Right.
Because
And
it
I hear a
doesn't
lot
serve-
from my clients. I hear a lot from my clients that, I can't forgive myself because if I forgive myself, I'm going to do that again. No, you're not. Just because you forgive yourself doesn't mean you gave yourself permission to repeat something that you now know is wrong.
Right.
Forgiving yourself actually free you so that you can make better, more positive decisions. Because imagine feeling guilty. How does that guilt really serve you? Does it really help you in any way at all?
No.
No. A lot of people might think, yeah, it prevents me from repeating that mistake. No, it doesn't. Now, if you free yourself and you feel better about who you are, and you can look at the same situation and say, okay, what can I learn from that? How can I be a better person? Is there somebody I can make up to? And how can I do that? Those kind of thinking and those kind of action is going to move you forward to a place of freedom and happiness that you just gave yourself because you let go of those emotions.
Right. We need to learn that we need to love ourselves. We need to want to be better, bigger, more. And we can't do that if what we're focusing, and the law of attraction argument would be, you focus on guilt for doing something, you're going to bring more opportunity to do that same something again. So if you don't want that, let go of the baggage and start focusing on what you want from life.
I'm right there with you. Love it.
We're solving all the world's problems. I know.
Right this minute.
Now, if Gabi was here, he'd be taking us down some bizarre alleyways.
So why don't you be Gabi for a moment and let's see where we end up.
That's what I'm thinking. One of Gabi, I'm sorry. When you come to watch this, I'm sorry. But one of his favorite things to go to is, we're born and babies don't know anything but happiness, right? Except after a while, their diaper's dirty, they start crying, right? But they just love everybody and everything, and smiling is a natural thing. Right? They don't have to be taught how to smile. And then at a certain age, we start being programmed to stop doing certain things, to stop thinking certain ways, to start fitting into societies, to start, learning how to pass tests so you can graduate, so you can get a good job, so you can do whatever. And then somewhere along the line, if you're lucky, you run into people like you who have a different perspective on things, and you hear it and it clicks a little bit, and you start to think about, oh, maybe there's more, and you realize, I'm not so happy working in the mine, like my father did, my grandfather, whatever. Maybe there's something else that I can do. Maybe I can still work in the mine but feel better about doing it. So if I'm Gabi, I'm going to ask something like, what can we do to change this societal program that beats all the life out of kids, it just in the name of capitalism or whatever.
That would be an absolutely fantastic problem to solve, right? And I don't have an instant answer, because how we are right now, again, like you said, it didn't happen overnight. It took centuries to get to where we are right now. But if you want to make a difference, Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror, right? If you want to make a change, take a look at yourself and make that change. So start from within. What is it that you can do in this moment? What is it that you can do to improve yourself? What is it that you can do to influence and encourage and motivate other people to take that step towards that goal? So that's the only thing that we really have full control of, is us.
Right.
When you try to, change the whole system like that, it could happen. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
But you can change yourself a lot quicker.
Yep. And that's, it's we're going to be repeating things, but that is the only thing you have any control over is you.
Yes. And so 3 things, actually, the kind of, you're going to laugh. So I teach my clients, right? Because I'm sure you've run into these scenarios, and my clients, they often try so hard to control their environment. They do things to get a certain result or a certain response, and that's really tiring, trying all the time. You're trying to figure out, who do I need to be for the situation to get the results I'm looking for. And so rather than focusing on trying to control your environment, something that you really have no control of, what if you master the 3 things that you have full control of? Wouldn't life be so much easier if you mastered those 3 things?
And
those
Jacqui,
3
tell
things,
us, what are those 3 things?
yeah, you already mentioned it, but the way that I break it down is you have full control of your thoughts. It doesn't feel that way, for a lot of people, because they say things like, I can't stop thinking this way or feeling this way. Yes, you can. You just got to use the right tool. Again, that whole digging example with a spoon versus a heavy machinery. When you have the right tool, it's a lot easier. So the thoughts that you're having, the words that you're using when you're talking to other people and when you're talking to yourself, and how you move your body. Those are really the only 3 things you have full control of. And that is if you are healthy mentally and physically. If you have mental challenges or physical challenge, you have less functions. But none of those 3 are controlling how other people respond, right? Controlling the environment, controlling what's going to happen next. So if you let go and just surrender and recognize, what, life is going to happen. I'm going to have great days. I'm going to have not so great days. But I believe in myself, and I know I'm strong enough to handle whatever comes my way. Wouldn't that be a much easier way to live than trying to control your external environment?
Yeah. And all 3 of those things are just how you communicate, whether it's with yourself or with other people.
Exactly.
It's just all about communication. I interviewed a guy named Chris Burns, who was a dynamic speaker, and he does a 12-hour live podcast every week. It's crazy.
Wow.
So he brings in all these people for an hour, and but I had him on my show, and Gabi was not able to be here for that one, and we got into conversation, and this comes off of something you were talking about. One of the things that we started talking about is, if you want to be, we want to change our lives. We want to be in a better place. I want to be a millionaire. Well, how do you become a millionaire? One of the best ways is you hang out with millionaires. Learn what they do. Learn to think the way they think. But the catch is, they don't want to hang out with you because you're not bringing anything to the table, right? You're not challenging them in what they think about. You're not giving new ideas, like those kinds of things. So it comes back to working on yourself, changing yourself to be the kind of person that they want to hang out with. And it has nothing to do with how much money you make. It's who is the person that you are? What are you bringing to the table in conversation, right? And what are you contributing to their mindset, to how they think about the world? How, do you have big plans? They want to know. Those are the kinds of things they like to get behind that stuff. But if your idea of a big night is to sit home and play checkers, they're not going to be excited about bringing it into their circles.
Right. And it's all mindset, right? It's really about how you think about yourself, how you think about the world. And, if you don't feel like you have a lot to contribute, you're not going to have anything to contribute. So you definitely have to work on develop that mindset to know that you are valuable. And maybe you're not a millionaire right now, but you have things you can contribute. And it might be something completely, non-business related, but you might be an expert, I don't know, chess player. You make fun of that, but what if you have, these strategies and this passion, you can bring that into your conversation. And people can still see, your vibration, like you mentioned earlier, right? And like attract like. People want to be with people who are similar to who they are. So if you're not where you want to be yet, but you have the drive, you have the motivation, you have the passion, that is still highly attractive.
Yes. Yeah. And let's talk law of attraction for a minute. the law of attraction is basically the idea that the things that you think about and hold in your mind, the front of your mind, primarily affect what the world brings you. Right? It does.
Right.
People will say, "Well, what you think about is what you get." That's just flat not right. But it affects what you get. So, if you want to be a millionaire, you want to be thinking about being a millionaire, right? Not about, I want to be a millionaire, but I don't have the money.
Right.
Right? Because now you've got energy moving in both directions. You're not going to move anywhere.
Right.
You need to forget about what you don't have. Focus on what you want, where you want to be, what kind of a person you want to be. One of the things that's come up in our conversations lately a lot is this idea that, if you know who that person is that you want to be 20 years from now, get a clear picture of that person, and we're assuming it's different from who you are today, but the universe is going to say, all right, this is who we need to become. Let's make it happen. And things start to change. You will start to change. Opportunities will show up if you're looking for them. and you will get the opportunity to, you will start becoming a different person simply because you want to be, 20 years from now, you have said, I'm a different person. It'll start right now. It's such a cool concept,
It is, and it works fantastic. And that's actually a homework assignment I give to all of my clients. So yes, see, we're twinsies. So in my very first session, in addition to teaching them about how their mind works, we together create what I call a masterpiece. And the masterpiece is the vision of you that you want to move into. With my clients, I don't work on a 20-year plan. I work on a 3-month plan. Mm-hmm. In 3 months from now, who are you? Not who do you want to be, but who are you? And then we create the masterpiece. And one of the key things in the masterpiece, there's 2 key things actually. One is that everything has to be present tense, right? Not I will be happy in 3 months, is I am happy. You have to act like you are the person you want to be already. The second key thing in the masterpiece is that you are not allowed to write down anything negative, including hidden negatives. So my clients are like, what are hidden negatives? A hidden negative sound like this. I am no longer depressed. Sounds cool, but your focus is still depressed, right? Yep. So instead of saying I'm no longer depressed, is I am happy. Because the mental image that you make of yourself when you think about no longer depressed is very different than happy. And whatever that you hold in your mind, like you said, is what the universe will bring to you. So I do work with all of my clients to create this masterpiece, and then their homework assignment is twice a day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, to live that in their mind, be that person in their mind, and recognize how good it feels, right? So if your goal, if your goal 3 months from now is to be happy and comfortable in social settings and being able to be who you are and speak freely, then your homework assignment is to practice that all up here in your mind. Because if you can think of yourself doing those things and feel good about it, yep, you're going to be able to create that. Now, the really cool thing too that I tell my clients that help them to do their homework assignment is I tell them that they have been doing their homework assignment their whole entire life. Yeah. This assignment that I'm giving them is not new. They've been focusing on the negative, right? So instead of thinking, I'm happy and I'm confident in a group, they're like, I'm a misfit. I don't belong. And, I'm so awkward. That's the exact same homework assignment I'm asking you to do, except the positive version that's going to empower you to be who you want to be.
I think the distinction between who you are versus who do you want to be, that's huge. It's huge because there's, science says there is no such thing as time in the way we experience it.
Right.
Right. So that person that you decide you are exists right now.
Exactly.
Exists right now.
Yes.
And has always existed.
Yes. And that's why in the masterpiece, it's always in the present tense, right? It's bringing it home right now. Why wait? Why wait? You have everything you need within yourself right now. And if you learn how to tap into that and bring that forth, you can be and do and have what you want.
Yeah. anything.
Yes. I've seen so many impossible things happen. So yes.
Yeah, I look at it like either a book or a movie, right? Where in a book there is no, we read it from front to back and the story unfolds, but all that stuff at the end was always there.
Right.
Right? And it's going to be there again a year from now when you go back and open the book again.
Right.
Nothing will have changed. It's all done. And the same with a movie. If you look at a film, and films are going away, I suppose, but you look at a frame on a movie, that's that frame at the end of the movie where the two lovers are happy ever after. That was there from the beginning.
Right.
It's not developing, so yeah. I don't want to go, I love the whole quantum physics thing and this there's no such thing as time. It's a cool / scary idea, but we can jump, just fast forward to wherever we want to be.
Yes.
We don't think we can. And so that's, it doesn't happen for us in this sort of physical experience, but.
Right. Because we limit ourselves with our thoughts, right? If we tell ourselves that we can't.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm right there with you. And the only true, time you have is the present moment. When you think about your past, you're making up stories because you're not remembering all the exact details that happen.
True.
You're taking little snippets here and there. And when you're projecting into the future, you're making up a story. That's not real either. This moment, the present moment, is the only real moment you have. And you can, again, choose to make decisions in that moment that really move you forward, or you can allow your past or your future fear to hold you back. It's your choice.
Yeah. And that's, it's your life, is a, that's a truth that we don't get. We don't understand. Lots of us go through life feeling like we're victims of something. My mother, her whole life, thought she was a victim of the world. And, we tend to, we give away our power,
Mm-hmm.
right? We, oh, this happened to me, or that happened to me. He said that, and this other thing, right? None of that is relevant. We get to decide how we deal with all of that information. It's our, and not only do we get to decide, there is no one else to decide.
Right.
It's on you.
Yes.
Good and bad, it's on you.
And good or bad is how you look at it, right?
Absolutely. But I think the whole responsibility piece of this is something that I think keeps a lot of people away, whether they realize it or they don't, because it's responsibility tends to come with, a couple of friends, and brings friends to the party of, guilt and blame and punishment. Who's responsible for you being where you are?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to admit that because I got to be punished for it. Well, like I said, you've already been punished.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my theory is.
Yeah, but when
theories.
once you admit it or recognize it, then you take your power back. Because if there's something that you did to create that negative experience for yourself, you can correct it, right? But when it's something that someone else is doing to you, you have no power. So to say, like, I have part in creation of whatever that is, and I have the power and the responsibility and the ability to change it to fit what I need in this moment. I mean, how powerful is that?
It's huge. It's also scary. But that's also where that whole ego thing comes in, and the resistance to change. Ego doesn't want you to accept the responsibility, because if you say, oh yeah, I'm responsible, now you have to, going forward, you have to make different decisions.
So you can look at it like you have to, or you can look at it like you get to. Right?
Ego says I have to.
Yeah, but then you can say, ego, shh.
Yeah.
To the corner with
the
you.
hand. Yeah.
You don't have to listen anymore. That's the point that I love, and that's the point that I work really hard to live on a daily basis, is recognizing, that's just one option. That's the knee-jerk reaction that we have, but that's, we have so many more choices. And What is it that I truly want? Not my ego, not my subconscious mind, not my inner bully, but me, Jacqui. What is it that I want? What is it that's going to bring that smile to my face? And that's what I do.
Well, those are questions a lot of people don't ask,
They're powerful questions. They're very simple questions, but when you're willing to give yourself permission to go there and really explore those questions, you can find a lot of resources for yourself, and you already have them. You just got to pull it out of you.
The great thing is that some of the stuff can seem kind of scary. It can seem like it's going to be a lot of hard work.
Those are only stories you're telling yourself.
Yes, that's where I'm going. Once you just step one step outside of that box, you find out that, well, that was pretty easy. I didn't die. And, this is kind of cool what this opened up. And then go check this out. Pretty soon you're way outside of what used to be your comfort zone, and you're totally comfortable.
Yes.
That people talk a lot about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm not sure that's even the case. It's almost like, I'll speak for myself. Forget about the discomfort. Just stop focusing on that for a minute and just go do what it is I want to do or think I should be doing or whatever. And just take a couple of steps in that direction. And then you're going to be presented with new opportunities and people and experiences and things. And you will forget about the discomfort, about the fear, and your life changes overnight, literally overnight.
I agree.
Really, really interesting.
Going back to what we've been talking about this whole time is what you focus on, you create. Yep. So in any situation, you can focus on, I just have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. No, you don't. You get to go into a situation telling yourself that I have no clue what's going to happen, but I'm excited to see.
Yep.
I mean, just the word change. How does that feel, right?
Yep.
It's going to be so uncomfortable. I have no clue what to expect, but I'm just going to keep an open mind. I'm just going to let things happen and just go with the flow. I mean, how much more power are you putting in your hands when you are talking to yourself that way?
Yeah. In Abraham Hicks terms, that's along the lines of pre-paving. You're deciding ahead of time how things are going to go. Mm-hmm. And you're just setting the intention that you're going to have fun with this. Versus get up in the morning and kick the corner of the bed and lousy day I'm going to have,
Right.
Well, yeah, you will. That's where you want to go. Or you could say, well, I got that out of the way. Now the day will be good,
Yes,
So,
yes. For me,
no, go ahead.
When I jump out of bed, it's like, it's not, I have to go to work. It's, I get to go to work.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you can look at the situation either way, but being self-employed, being able to have clients and work and impacting lives, that's a privilege.
Mm.
And even if you have a job that you go to, that's a privilege. I mean, imagine if you don't have that job, even a job that you really, really dislike. But because of that job, you have housing, you have food, you have clothing, right? So yeah, you can look at that job and really hate it, or you can just look at it as a blessing for this moment. Right. And if you're not happy with it, then decide, what else am I going to do to get myself out of this place that I know is not a right fit for me, and into a place that's a better fit, but all the while still appreciating that job and enjoying yourself.
Yeah. We tend to look at these things, right? We tend to look at these things as if that's the last choice I'm going to get to make about where I work. Right? So I got this job offer and it's not great and it doesn't pay the money I want to make, and so I'm not going to take it. Well, it might be the perfect thing for you to take for 6 months.
Right.
It might be the perfect stepping stone.
Yes.
And but we tend not to, I think, to think that far ahead. Well,
a lot of it is because, ever since we were little, we were trained to look for negatives, right? Mm-hmm. Think about it when you're a little baby. If you're just, hanging out in the living room, you're playing with your toys and you're super quiet, you don't get a lot of attention. But the moment you hurt yourself, all attention on you. People run to you. They make sure you're okay. They hug you. They kiss you. They love on you. What did you learn? pain equal attention, pain equal affection.
Yeah.
And so we bring that into our life, and we're so trained to look for the negatives. But when you decide that, you know what, okay, that's not working out for me, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to start focusing on the things that are going well, or even focusing on things that are neutral. There are so many more neutral things that are going on than there are negative things. But it's so easy to focus our attention on negative because we were trained from little babies.
It's a habit, right?
It is.
So,
that's a key word right there. Habit, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a habit. You can break habits easier than this is just who I am.
Yeah. Even that's a habit.
But when you call it a habit, it makes it easier.
Yeah, even just saying that is a habit.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you a question, if I can remember what I was going to ask you. Somebody comes to you, Jacqui, I like these ideas, and I need some help with my mindset, and I just, I'm hearing all this, and it's cool, but I don't know how to start.
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest?
So are you talking about a person who's coming in to work with me, or a person that just want to do something, but they're not sure where yet?
Let's go with that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm somebody that says I want to work with you, they already know what they're going to do. They're going to work.
Right.
If somebody who likes, you go and give a presentation at a school, and somebody comes up, and a kid comes up and says, I just don't know where do I start with this?
Right. So for me, what I would do is I would recommend my work because, I obviously believe in what I do and what I live and the message that I share. So I have a couple things that I recommend to people who are not quite sure if they're ready to make that leap, or not quite sure if I'm the person they want to work with. Is I have 3 books out. I have 3 self-help books that really go into explaining how your mind works and how much power you have in terms of controlling your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And so a lot of my books, all 3 of my books actually, have exercises for you to go through. So depending on what you're working with. So the first book is 5 Simple Questions to Reclaim Your Happiness. And in that particular book, it really, there's just 5 super simple questions. I like simple things. 5 simple questions for you to start thinking about your situation differently. It's about letting go of that shame, the guilt, and the blame, right? Because that's what usually holds us back. But when you use these 5 simple questions to process what you're feeling, then you're able to let it go a lot easier. The second book is I Would, But My Damn Mind Won't Let Me. And that is a primer for your mind, how your mind works and how your belief systems get created and how the words that you're using are creating your reality right there and then. And then the third book I launched this past November. It's called Unleash Your Inner Superpowers and Destroy Fear and Self-Doubt. We all suffer from fear and self-doubt. And when we learn how to, kick that to the curb, we take charge and we become really confident in who we are and how we approach life. And the last book, especially the Unleash Your Inner Superpowers, have tons of exercises that you can go through to start processing a lot of this. And if they go through my books and it, jive with what they want to do, then the natural step, of course, is to work with me. But if I'm not the right person, but that kind of mindset things is really helpful, there are tons of podcasts out there that are quite amazing. There are tons of free resources on YouTube. There are other books. There are Facebook groups. I mean, we have an unlimited amount of resources. We can't even consume the free stuff that's available.
Yeah.
The free stuff is probably not going to get you exactly to where you want, because it's the way that you are, your way of thinking, that got you stuck to where you are right now. And getting out of it oftentimes require a little more hand-holding than that. But it's definitely a start. And that's exactly, too, why I started my podcast, Stop the Bully Within. In Stop the Bully Within, my whole goal with that, my husband is my co-host, and he's into this mindset thing too. Our goal is to create really short episodes, under 30 minutes, so that it's easily consumable. And then, we teach one content, and then we have some mini movements. We're not looking for big changes overnight, but we're looking for repetition of things that are super simple to do, that if you continue to commit to doing those exercises, you'll see progress, you'll see movement. And in the beginning, it might be slower movement, but the more you practice, the more you follow those steps, you're going to start seeing incremental changes, right?
Yeah.
And that's when it gets super exciting. So there's a lot of different things that, you know, a person can do if they're still kicking the tires or if they're ready to jump in.
I want to emphasize something that you just said. When you start on this stuff, people need to understand if this is all new to you and you're listening to this or you're watching us talking about this and you're really, you know, you're resonating with the ideas, but this is kind of new and you don't really know what to expect trying to do these things. Number one, don't worry about it, right? There is no cookie cutter way to travel these paths, right? Everybody has their own route to get to where they're going, and none of them are wrong. But the other thing is that it's going to take some time. You know, wherever you're at in life, and you know whatever it is that's stressing you out, that took time for you to get to where you're at, and that doesn't unravel watching a single podcast.
I wish, right?
Yeah. So I just want to sort of give some people some hope maybe and let them understand that it will take a little time, but it won't take long for you to see evidence that things are happening.
Right.
So
and
it's easy to get excited when you see things happening and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
I love that. I want to add to that. Yeah, it's not going to be super easy, but it's very doable. It is highly doable. You know, if you were to, like, for me, I'm not a runner. And if today you tell me like, let's run a marathon, I'll be like, no. But if you say, let's run for a minute, I can do that. I might be able to go for 3 minutes, and that's nothing compared to a marathon. But if I commit to doing 3 minutes every single day or every other day, I'm going to be able to expand that time, and eventually I will be able to do my marathon. Same with mindset. It is, you know, about committing to yourself and be willing to do the work, right? And the work doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be difficult. Baby steps, micro steps are absolutely fantastic,
Yeah.
as long as you keep working on yourself. And one of the things that I do see with some of my clients is, I've tried 4 times and it didn't work.
Yep.
No, it's not going to work 4 times, right? It might work 2 out of 4 or 1 out of 4 or 3 out of 4. But the thing is, you know, the way that you are right now, think of it as you've been practicing being this way every single day of your life up to this point. You practice being this way. So it's going to take a little practice for you to be that other way, the way that you truly want to be.
Right.
But that's all it takes is practice.
It's you know, you're acquiring new skills.
Yes.
And you just got to find the ones that you like, you know, and the methods for acquiring that ring true for you, and just jump in and stick to it for a little while. You will see progress. I don't care what method you're using and what you're trying to. You will see progress as long as you're looking for progress. If you're going to do it and then you're of the mindset that this stuff doesn't work, you know, then
it's not going to work.
You'll find evidence to prove yourself right.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and a lot of people are stuck with that. They have the best of intentions, but they practice being that negative person, right? This is not going to work. This is not going to work. They have intention for it to work, but their movie is still that it's not going to work movie. So, you know, if you're listening to this and you have that propensity to kind of like, nope, not going to work, I challenge you to try different words. You know, just try. I have no clue if this is going to work, but I'm just open. Just try that for a little bit. I'm willing to let this work. I'm willing to have a new experience. You don't have to go all the way to, yeah, this is my answer. Yep. and everything's going to be perfect in a day or 2. You don't have to go all the way there, but just be willing to have a new experience. And then you will see that new experience.
Yeah. Well, you know, the example that I like to use is, let's say you're somebody who's a skeptic of this law of attraction idea, or whatever label, however you want to describe this, where your thoughts affect your reality. But you say, all right, I'm going to test this thing, and I've got a birthday coming up at the end of the month, 30 days. I want a new Corvette, red convertible. I don't know how it's going to get here, but all right, universe, show me. Right? 30 days goes by, birthday party. Somebody walks in, they hand you a present, and you open it up, and it's a model of a red Corvette. Right?
You asked for a red Corvette, and
that's not what you wanted. You get to decide, is this evidence that it works or it didn't work? You're in practice of saying that these things are, nothing works, right? Life is terrible. Life is ugly. And the universe brought you a version of what you asked for. And you want to say that's not evidence. Man, that's big, beautiful, gorgeous evidence that it's working.
I actually have a story from a client this week too that is perfect for this. It's so funny. So I was working with him last week, and I asked him, like on a scale of 0 to 10 of happiness, where are you today? And he's like, 8, 8.5. And I said, what would bring it all the way up to a 10? And he said, well, if I can vacation without my wife, that would be a perfect 10, right? And so we talked about it and all of this stuff. And then the next time I saw him this week, he said, you're not going to believe this. I vacation without my wife. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, not exactly that way, right? Her mother was sick and she was in the hospital. So she had to go and take care of her mother. Mm-hmm. And I had that time by myself. I had a vacation without her. Yeah, you asked for it, but you didn't get super clear on what that looks like, and you're not willing to put the energy forth. The universe still answer, but not quite the way that you want.
So I've got another one. So what we're talking about is he got the essence of what he wanted, right? A friend of mine wants to have a house on the beach. She wants to be able to just like open the windows or get up in the morning and just see the waves rolling in and have that whole experience. And it's her thing. So what she's doing is she is going out and driving around La Jolla and Del Mar and things, which are, for anybody who doesn't know this area, these are high-end areas of San Diego, right on the beach. And she's going looking for open houses. And she just stops and walks around the house. And then while she's there, she starts imagining herself living in this house. And she gets this experience. She's having fun with it. And she experiences what it's like to be in that situation. So, eventually she leaves. They kick her out, whatever. But the point of this thing is, in conversation this came up, it's, she's getting the essence of what she wants. What she really wants is that feeling. Mm-hmm. She doesn't. What if somebody that she knew invited her to come live there? She doesn't need to own the house. She wants the feeling that comes with being there. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's what you were describing with your client. He wanted the feeling of that separation.
Yes.
And he got that.
Yes, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's always about the feelings.
Yeah.
It's not about the story or the things. It's about how we feel.
Yeah, that's why we acquire stuff. My bottom line is the assumption that what any of us really want is to feel better today than we felt yesterday, and to feel a little better tomorrow than we feel today. And whatever it takes to get that done. And the ideal thing is for that to continue day to day to day to day to day, and so that we're eventually just happy as hell and can't wipe the smile off our faces, right? But it's not going to happen. But what if you got to that point where you were the village idiot and you're just walking around with a big grin on your face and you don't care what happens? What we want is to be happy, in whatever form that takes. And so I hear people, it's like, telling you what you should do. Well, you should do this.
Don't listen.
Why? Well, the rest of that statement is you should do this if you want to be happy. Mm-hmm. This is what they're really saying. We don't ever get to that piece of it. But I think that's, I mean, it came out when we were little kids and you did something wrong and your mother, well, you happy now? Right? She was onto something. What we're after is to feel better.
Right. That's definitely like my whole purpose in life is be happy. Do things
tell
that
when I met you. Folks, and I'm going to interview Monica in a week or two. We were
Miss
at this
Bliss.
event. Oh my God. We were at this event, and picture a table that's about 6 feet across, round tables.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there, and to my left is this young lady with this huge smile. And directly across from me is another young lady who
have an even bigger smile.
She doesn't need lights in her house. All she's got to do is smile, and it's going to be, I swear to God, it was like, turn it off. Can you just dim that? Huge smiles. It's so cool. And I have a smile that looks like I'm grimacing. So.
Yeah, Monica is awesome. She has such good energy.
Yeah. And a laugh that it's infectious. I mean,
yes,
she's going to make you laugh just because she's laughing. You don't need to know what she's laughing about. You're going to start laughing.
Yeah, I would agree. She's awesome.
So, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
Oh, that's right. All right. What else do you want to cover? Anything before we kind of give you the opportunity to tell people where to find you?
I think we cover quite a bit, right?
Okay.
I mean, feel free to ask.
Back. We'd love to have you back.
I will come back. How's that?
It's getting weird here. Absolutely.
And maybe your co-host can be here to grill me, right?
I will. Yes. He's going to be upset that he missed this. And I'll make sure of that. All right. So if we don't have another topic that we want to cover, then please, let people know how do they get more of Jacqui Letran?
Oh, yeah. If you want more of Jacqui Letran, the easiest way to get a hold of me is on my website. And that is JacquiLetran.com. I'll spell it because my name is spelled a little bit differently. JacquiLetran. So JacquiLetran.com. You can also go there by just the easier way is by typing in Stop the Bully Within. It will redirect to my Jacqui Letran website. And the Stop the Bully Within is where I host my podcast. It's a weekly podcast. New episodes are released every single Thursday. So, if this material is causing you to be interested, definitely check it out and download a couple episodes and see for yourself.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. This was fun.
Yes,
I did have a little age-related mind farts going on.
That's just part of life, again, it's we don't have to be perfect, right? Is situations like that's going to happen. And I stumble on my words and you forgot yours. Big deal. We had fun.
That's why we're here. This is rule number one for me. If it's not going to be fun, I don't want to do it.
I'm right there with you.
So, all right, hon. Thank you again. We'll be in touch and we'll have you back.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you and have a wonderful night.
You too.
Hi, this is Tim Starr. Thanks for joining me and Gabi on the universe between your ears. We really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little while. And we'd like to see you again. So be sure to subscribe wherever it is you're consuming the podcast from, whether it's YouTube or Stitcher or iTunes or whatever the hell else is out there. We want to see you again. We also want to hear from you. So let us know what you think of each episode. Let us know if you got an idea for a future episode that you think would be just killer. Absolutely, let us know. All right. Thanks again, and we will see you next time around. Bye-bye.